Thank you so much, Kenneth, and for all your support all throughout the year and leadership as well. To put it in perspective a little bit about what we've been talking about and why are we building these networks and what's going to be happening in the future, there's no better expert on that than Cisco. And I'm sure you caught some of the commercials, the Internet of Everything, a few times around there. We see them a lot. And we're fortunate and very honored to have with us today Daniel Kent. Mr. Kent is the U.S. Public Sector Chief Technology Officer at Cisco. And he's responsible for managing the sales engineering team and driving Cisco's technology strategy in the public sector. He's working with partners and customers alike. His team assists government agencies, both local, state, and federal, and education institutions like we were just hearing about short time ago from Evan as well, leveraging technologies that effectively meet mission and business needs. Currently, his team's focusing on integrating technologies like virtualization and cloud computing, core networking, cybersecurity, and collaboration tools into the public sector market. All the things we were talking about, all the metrics and that we were talking about this morning that are driving really the whole demand behind the Internet. Mr. Kent's been active in the public sector market for over 20 years, and prior positions include 10 years at Nortel Networks as a Director of Engineering and a Senior Consulting Engineer with Network Solutions, Inc. Please give me a great round of applause for Dan Kent, Cisco CTO.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. If you could roll the video, please. I'd like to start off with video.
Today, my ambulance knew all about a bike accident just by talking to a helmet.
Excellent. Do I have a clicker somewhere? Oh, got it. I got it. Thank you. So as Dave mentioned, my name is Dan Kent, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Public Sector at Cisco. And my job really is to talk technologies. And from a technologist point of view, it's probably one of the most exciting points in my career right now because there's so much going on in technology. We see it every day. We see technology not only there for technology's sake, but it's impacting everybody's life pretty much in every vertical, ranging from obviously public sector that I'm in to manufacturing, healthcare, and mining systems everywhere. It's impacting our children's lives like never before, and it's just really an exciting time to be in technology. But if you take a step back, it's also an exciting time as a human being to be part of this, because there's an innate need for humans to connect and to communicate with other humans and with our environment. And clearly in the last 20 years, we've done more to accelerate how we can communicate and connect to other people, to things, than the previous 99.99% of the time that the human's been on this planet. So it's really exciting as a human, and I hope you feel that excitement and you're living, because we are living it. Now, if you look at, we broached and addressed the barrier of distance and time, probably going back to the 1850s with the telegraph, and we went all the way for another 50 to 75 years where we added voice to that communications. And so it took us about 75 years to connect the space of time and space with voice. And look what just has happened in the last 20 years. The last 20 years. I think the biggest inflection point that I can point back to as this acceleration was really in 1995. Does anybody here remember the company called Netscape in 1995? A couple of you do, right? So the internet, as you all know, by the way, I've been on the internet before 20 years ago. I got on the internet when I was in the military in the 80s. But the internet has been around for about 40 years, but it was really only open to the public in 1995 with the introduction of Mosaic, right? That browser that let John Q. Public touch that information that was sitting on the internet. In 1995, there were about 25 million people that were connected to the internet, and probably another 10 or 15 million devices, so a total of 35 to 50 million devices that were connected to the internet back then. So it was pretty exciting times where we were connecting things. And mostly, of course, they were people talking with people. Machines were there. It was really built in the DoD to provide resilience for our networks. The scientists got on top and said, hey, I can share data with other scientists around the country, around the world. They started using it to share information. But once we started to give that technology to the public, all the innovations started to happen. And what we saw was just an enormous influx of devices and people connecting to the internet. So fast forward 10 years to 2005, we had about 500 million devices onto the internet. 500 million devices in 2005. It was a great time, right? We connected things beyond just computers and printers. We connected things beyond people. Fast forward 5 years, 2010, we were over 10 billion devices connected to the internet, with only 6 billion people in the world. So clearly, the connections are not just people on the internet. And that's really what's exciting about the internet today. It's not just about people talking with people, which clearly is an innate need, but it's about people talking to things. It's about things talking to things. It is all this connectivity happening. And it's amazing what happens when things that are unconnected get connected to the internet. Just think about it. I'll give you a great, simple example in my home state of Virginia. And you can probably all, if you live in New York, you can feel my excitement when I tell you this. We had a little bit of a snowy year this winter. Now, I know you all did as well. But you're used to it in New York. In Virginia, we're not used to it. We don't have a lot of snow plows. We really don't have a lot of snow plows. So it's really important for me as a citizen to be able to know when my street is getting plowed, because it might not be today. It might be tomorrow. There is an application with the Virginia Department of Transportation where I can track snow plows. Now, you probably wouldn't think that's a big deal, but this year when we had 5 different snowstorms, it happened to be a Monday, every Monday for like 5 Mondays in a row, and I had flights to catch at Dulles. It was really important to know where the snowplows were and if there's a chance that they were ever going to get to my road. Real-time visibility of where snowplows are with their schedule and with their paths that they go added a tremendous service to me. Now think about that. Could that have happened 10 years ago? Not a chance. Simple things like connecting the snowplow to the internet, connecting that with another database that had the schedule or the paths that the trucks need to make as part of their plan, and putting that in real time for citizens to look at added a tremendous value to me. Amazing things happen when you connect the unconnected. That's just a simple, easy instance of that. But think about the farmer that can connect their agriculture, their plants to the internet. How efficient they can be in sending water or nutrients to those plants to grow them. Think about the student who can connect to the internet. Think about the manufacturing companies that can connect systems to the internet. And we all have, anybody that has a car that's been built in the last 5 years, your car is connected to the internet, and that manufacturer is using information from your car to help you with predictive analytics to know when you should fix things before they break. It's happening all around us. It's happening in all verticals. The internet, what we call the internet of everything. Now, we don't think of the internet of everything as something that is brand new. This is really just an evolution of the internet. Like I said, the internet came out 40 years ago, open to the public 20 years ago. And in that time, it was really about connectivity, right? All the broadband folks here, you know that. It was about how can I connect the internet, and it was connecting my landline systems, servers and computers to the internet. And it was maybe sharing some initial communications through email, store and forward. Introduced Mosaic, we now had a change of how e-commerce could happen across the internet. Huge spike in growth and value of the internet. That e-commerce changed the world, right? Just go ask Barnes & Noble, right? Go ask Blockbuster. It really changed the network, changed the world. Where we are today, through the advent of mobile devices, the advent of video systems, is what we call this immersive environment. Taking that communications that we all strive to have another level further. We now can use video. And we've introduced recently high-definition video, being more real-life like across all your devices. Mobility let us take that off of the desk and take it to wherever we want to go. As I like to say, we're going back to the days of Star Trek, where the smartphone was first introduced, 1967. It was a great time. But we're in this world today where it is about communication, and our kids are living it. We're struggling with it. They're thriving in it. It's about how we communicate with video, with voice, with chatter, with Twitter. There's more means of communication than ever before, and for someone like me and many of you in the room, we struggle with is the right method to communicate with our kids, because last year it was Facebook. They hate Facebook last year. Now it's Twitter. Twitter used to be an old guy's tool. Now it's our kids using it. They just go from one form of communication to another. We struggle with how do we get it all to work. At the end of the day, they're all going to be good, useful means of communication, and it's exciting. Where we are taking that, though, as we introduce this Internet of Everything, it's about connecting the unconnected, connecting what we wear, connecting our children, connecting our pets, connecting our vehicles, connecting machines, connecting the earth with sensors, smart devices. Everything will eventually be connected. Less than 1% of the things that can be connected are connected today, so you can see there's a lot of opportunity for growth. Now, we at Cisco do analysis on this and do research, and we've identified this is about $19 trillion with a T of value at stake with the Internet of Everything. Hopefully that got your attention. $19 trillion. In public sector, it's about $4.5 trillion. And how do we drive what that actually means? It's about productivity enhancements. If I have machines that are connected and I do predictive analytics, I can get those machines more effective. They don't go down because I'm fixing them before they go down. It's about efficiencies, supply chain efficiencies, in-service efficiencies. Because I'm connecting things, I'm getting more information. Information equals knowledge. With knowledge, I can act upon it and become more efficient. It's about innovation. Like I said, we're connecting things that have never been connected before. In the city of Chicago, they have an open data arrangement where they give the data to developers. The developers can do whatever they want with that data. They also built a snowplow application in Chicago. So not only did they take that same application to deliver snowplow information and scheduling and where they are up to the time, real time, but that application will also tell you how deep the snow is in your specific area of Chicago. And they're doing that with data that's given to them by the municipality. Innovation will happen as we give data to people who have a care and a need and a want to innovate. So there's a lot of opportunity here for all of us. In $19.5 trillion, kind of the chicken or the egg, broadband is required, but broadband will also benefit from that because the business models will be different. If I can show that not only does that broadband affect the school system, but also the farmers, right? But also the citizens and the emergency responders. There's multiple use cases for broadband, and you're going to start to see, I think, the business models changing for the better for all of us. So it's an exciting time. Now, when we talk about the Internet of Everything, we sometimes confuse people with the Internet of Things. Anybody here hear about the Internet of Things? A couple of you? How about the Internet of Everything? A couple of you? Okay. There is a difference. So when we talk about the Internet of Things, we're typically talking about things that are communicating with either people or other things. A sensor to a server, a person to a sensor. When we talk about the Internet of Everything, it's really taking that underlying Internet of Things and looking at how we can use that data to change process to add the value through efficiencies or productivity. Let me give you a great example. In most municipalities where we have parking lots, there are video surveillance cameras, right? You all seen this, we're all familiar, and we expect them to be there, and they're there primarily for safety, for forensics purposes, if something happens in that parking garage. You got the video camera talking back to a server where it's storing the video until somebody at some point needs it, right? Internet of Things, machine talking to machine. Take that same video camera, take that same parking lot, take that same video stream and put it to an analytics engine. That video is looking at 30 parking lots, parking spaces. If I have that same information coming up to an analytics engine that's looking at it from a perspective of what of those 30 parking spaces are full and which ones are empty, give me real-time view of those, and then put an application to give that information out to the people that are driving around looking for parking spots, I now have changed the process of how I tell people where to park. I now can change how my traffic flows go in a municipality. I can actually make this a revenue generator if I'm a municipality. And that's what we're seeing at San Mateo, where they're using smart parking to not only increase their revenues because they can change the parking meters based on the time of day, but they can also tell people where to go. So in a city, you don't have people keep going back and around looking for the same spots, adding more to the traffic. You send them over 2 blocks where you're telling them that there are parking spots available. So that's when we talk about the Internet of Everything. It's very exciting. It is across all of the verticals, and we think that $19 trillion will be realized and we'll all benefit from it. So why now? Again, I'm a technologist. This is an exciting time for technology. Why now versus 10 years ago? Well, we are really at a confluence of many great technologies happening together, and it's wonderful, right? We are all part of the broadband explosion. The network is almost everywhere. It should be everywhere. It will be everywhere. But the ubiquitous network, the ubiquitous connectivity is a clear requirement for the Internet of Everything. Cloud computing, as confusing as that is for all of us to explain to you all, if I just say it is about shared resources delivered from a common location, the ability for my sensors, low-cost, low-price sensors, to come in and communicate with some computing that is shared, that I don't have to own and create myself, creates this environment for this Internet of Everything to prosper. So you have to have all this great connectivity. You have to have computing that can be shared and delivered to the sensors or receiving information from sensors. And of course, you have to have sensors. And sensors themselves are a whole science. We've got everything from a 10-cent chip that's about the size of my pinky nail that can be put onto a plant, that can be put onto an ear of a livestock. And if it's 10 cents, we can do a lot of things with that, or I can have many of them and just make them disposable, up to your smartphones, which are great sensors for many of the applications that you use that you probably don't even realize they're using, again, with you and for you, and sometimes against you. So these sensors are everywhere. Lots of policy, I believe, will eventually come down with the Internet of Everything, but the technology is there and the technology is exciting. And that's really what's driving the Internet of Everything. It's all of this coming together at once. So that $19 trillion in value is dependent on these enabling capabilities, enabling technologies. We're clearly at the precipice of this. So technology is probably in front of, and as we saw that video, that a lot of that can actually be delivered today from a technology perspective. Coming behind it is the policy. How do we secure all these sensors? How do I know that my data is my data and I control it and somebody else isn't going to control it? How do I make sure that the information, once it goes up to the analytics engine, is being used for how I want it to be used and nothing else? That's all coming, and we're working with many government agencies to make sure that that happens. But the technology is there to use today, and we're seeing it being used, like I said, across all verticals. It's a very exciting time. So why is Cisco here? Well, clearly, hopefully you know that Cisco is an enabler of the Internet. Our vision, as you can see here, is to change the way we work, live, play, and learn. That's been Cisco's vision for 15 years, FYI. Our strategy, of course, is to go in and enable this to happen. We work with our customers and look at their most important or difficult challenges and try to help them with that. Internet of Everything almost implies that we're taking the technology beyond IT. It implies that we're taking technology beyond IT. Of course, with what we call the consumerization of technology, giving technology to people outside of IT, people that are in finance, people that are in the mission side, we're giving it to soldiers, we're giving it to policemen, we're giving it to inspectors. They then look at it and say, hey, this is my process. It's a very unnerving, complicated process as an inspector, to go write things down and go back to my office and document everything. Why can't I use this technology in my process and change my process? That's what's exciting for Cisco, as we help not just our IT customers be successful, but how do we help the folks that aren't in IT leverage this technology that really can help them change their processes, again, focusing on either productivity or efficiencies. We're seeing this across the world. Again, I support the public sector, so state and local governments, federal governments, Department of Defense, civilian agencies, as well as education. And I'm going to give you some specific examples of how the Internet of Everything is impacting these sets of customers. But it doesn't stop there. One of the most interesting areas that we see IoE impacting is manufacturing in a way that you probably wouldn't expect. How many people have bought an appliance in the last year? Refrigerator? Do you know if that refrigerator had an IP connection, wireless connection to you had to configure it so that your router could talk to it? How about a garage door opener? Do you know your garage door opener can be connected to the Internet? Of course, you all heard about Nest, which is the thermostat that Google bought for some millions of dollars. Home automation is a clear area where you're going to see Internet of Everything. Now, if you think about how many houses have refrigerators, thermostats, washing machines, dryers, and you connect all that to the Internet, you can see how that 50 trillion devices connected to the Internet is not a stretch, right? So why are we connecting the refrigerators to the Internet? For the time being, it's so Maytag can help send the repairman to you before you call them, right? They can tell that you have a fuse blown, or they can give you an alert that your light bulb is out. That's phase one. Think about phase two, when they start putting sensors on those refrigerators that can tell you that it's time to get milk. Oh, and by the way, the grocery store is also on the Internet, so just push a button and the milk will be sent to you automatically. That's going to happen. That's when we talk about the Internet of Everything and how pervasive it will be. Exciting time. It gets beyond IT. Any IT folks in the room, or is it just me? A few of you? So for us IT folks, it scares the hell out of us, right? Because IT is all about control and standards, and this is kind of taking that control out of our hands, and we're seeing budget go with that control out of IT's hands as the business and the mission side takes their money and says, I can do this at home, why can't I do this in the office? So there's a plus and a minus, as IT folks always like to say. But at the end of the day, the mission will become more effective as we connect the unconnected. So let me give you some examples, so just to get your creative juices flowing, and you can start to think in your world how you would connect the unconnected and what you would do with it. Municipalities, everybody has heard of Wi-Fi in municipalities, city Wi-Fi. It's happening. And quite honestly, over the last 5 years, most Wi-Fi strategies in municipalities have failed. I think you could all agree with that. They really have failed for various reasons, mostly because of the business model and monetization of it, and then being able to afford the upkeep of Wi-Fi. But where it's succeeding because of the applications that they use it for. City of San Antonio uses Wi-Fi to synchronize their traffic signals. They not only use it to sync, that was the reason for doing it, synchronization of traffic signals. That was the justification. But they've since added kiosks in those locations for citizen services. They've also used that same Wi-Fi to help emergency responders send information back over the Wi-Fi so they don't have to go to their terminals to upload it manually. They also have started with smart lighting, again, for economic development purposes, for safety purposes. These smart cities, though we had a slow start in the United States compared to some of the international cities, we're starting to see them come back again. We're seeing, I already mentioned the snowplow method, snowplow tools in municipalities, but we're starting to see pretty much every service that a municipality gives being modified or changed or somehow impacted by connecting the unconnected. As we look at public safety, we're seeing, this is probably the fastest growing in place where we're seeing the unconnected, and clearly it started with video surveillance systems, obviously helping our police force, lowering the cost sometimes of police force, or providing some level of security or safety. We're seeing it in school systems, where we connect the video systems with the municipality, so when they actually come up to the school, they can actually see inside of the school from their police squad car. We talked about connecting that with their access of the buildings themselves. Now, can the same system that supports safety for students also be the one that provides internet access? Sure. Technology-wise, we can do that. Policy-wise, I'm not sure. It depends, state-dependent. We're seeing public safety everywhere from providing translators to judges, especially I would think in New York. We're seeing it in Florida, where they have a lot of delay in cases because they can't get a translator to the local judicial branch or office. So what they did, they centralized the translators, and they do it now virtually through video. Their productivity went up 250%. That equates to faster case movement. So you can see the value from a citizen services. And also think of it from if we do video arraignment, and I believe in the state of New York we have policies around there, but clearly it's happening across the country. Video arraignment makes it safer because we're not transporting prisoners necessarily if we can do it via video. and also saves municipalities a lot of money rather than having to send sheriffs back and forth. So there's a lot of value being done there. Education is probably one of the greatest areas for the improvement as we connect the unconnected. Has anybody heard of flipped learning? Flipped learning, how many educators or people that are in the education? So flipped learning is really about taking the way you teach and flipping it on its upside down. So you typically kids go to school and the teacher presents to them. Then they say, go home and work on your homework. Well, you have to do that because in the way legacy-wise we had to do that, the kids had to learn or hear what the teacher wanted to present to them, and they had to do that live. Well, if you could do that through video and have video streaming to the kids' homes, you take that model and flip it upside down. Kids get to watch the video of the teacher presenting what the topic of the day at home. When they come into the classroom, they start working on their homework, because that's typically where you're trying to see if the student understands what the teacher presented to the student. So think how more effective that is. You're not asking for help to a parent that might not be at the home. They don't have to wait a day to get back, or in some places, depending on if you have block scheduling, 2 days to talk to the teacher about it. You actually watch the lecture at home, you come in to class, and you actually do the work with the teacher. Get an immediate response. That flipped learning is happening because of technology. It's happening because we are connecting homes to the internet and video to the internet. We're seeing education expand, obviously in rural areas, at university level. Let me give you a university level experience where we're allowing very unique classes to be taught that might only be taught at one university to be taught amongst several universities. I'm working at a program in Virginia where 4 of the colleges in the state of Virginia share instructors, share specific classes that are difficult to get instructors, Mandarin Chinese. So if a student at George Mason University wanted Mandarin Chinese 2 years ago, he or she couldn't take that class because the only Mandarin Chinese instructor happened to be at University of Virginia. Leveraging the internet, leveraging video capabilities, now that Mandarin program or Mandarin class is taught at University of Virginia, Virginia Tech, George Mason University, and I believe there's one more university that's also teaching it. And so you can see a shared curriculum using the single instructors can really start to expand what the offers at these universities can give students. Now, that's only within a state. There's no reason why that can't go outside of that one state, outside of the country. And as we see a lot of universities, they're looking to expand internationally. They are using technology to do that. So clearly, the education environment is dramatically changing because of technology. And we're just starting as video as being one of the first instances of technology that you're using, but you're going to see a whole lot of the technology come in as we connect it to the internet. Healthcare is another great environment where we're seeing everything being connected. Telehealth is very usual now within the United States. The types of health that you get across virtual environments are somewhat controlled today, but as we become more and more to allowing the data from the telemetry from the medical instruments being used across the internet, you'll start to see more and more use cases of telehealth beyond psychiatry and psychology type health. You'll start to see it for general practitioners. How do we get doctors to rural areas in a way that can be ordinary and normal so that the people that live in rural areas don't have to come once every 6 months or once a year to a doctor? That is happening across the country now, and it's happening across the world now. And that will continue to grow as all medical instruments pretty much now are connected to the internet. Think about from a training perspective for your doctors as well. We're seeing everything being connected to the internet. So it's starting with the high value devices connected to the internet, but you're seeing that come down to more of the low value devices being connected to the internet. Let me show you the next one on this next video to show you what I mean. So you can see libraries changing the way communities come together, the way children learn, and the way children research and develop. Clearly, we're seeing the internet impact everything, and you're starting to see, when you connect the unconnected, amazing things happen. if you believe in the pyramid that says, you know, data leads to information, information leads to knowledge, and knowledge leads to wisdom, which we believe, and you see the 50 billion devices connected to the internet bringing in petabytes of data a week, that it's up to us to figure how do we translate that and make that data information and knowledge. You can see as we connect the unconnected, we're going to help evolve the human species. So it's really exciting. It's visionary, but it's really not, because we're seeing it happen every day. What's exciting is the innovation happens everywhere. It's not just under the control of the IT department, it's under all of our control. So with that, thank you very much, and I'm here for any questions. Yes, sir.
The vision that you present, I agree with. The question is time frame, number one. And what can Washington, D.C., we're here in the State Forum, but what can the federal policymakers do to speed that process up?
That's a great question. So we believe that the 50 billion devices will be connected by 2020. So, and the 19 trillion of value at stake will be in the next 10 years. Now, that's just not in the United States, that's globally. Public sector is about 4.4 trillion, and we did that analysis bottoms up. By the way, that information is all on the internet through Cisco. As we work with the federal government, I'm the technology person, so when I typically work with the federal government around this, I'm talking about standards, and that's an area that I'm focused on. How do we ensure the sensors? We put a framework in place that we can secure the Internet of Everything in a way that helps foster innovation and doesn't stifle the development that's going on right now. NIST's big concern right now is all this is happening so quickly before any standards are coming out, we could end up with 17 different strategies that are delivered everywhere, and then 10 years down the road, when they don't communicate and work together, we have to redo a lot of that. So that's how I typically work with NIST. Clearly, as Cisco is presenting and taking this model, we are not alone. We have, obviously, Microsoft, IBM, all saying the same thing. And so we are trying to go to economic development areas and show them what they can do and how they can use this. But I'm not really sure exactly what we're doing specifically from a policy perspective at the federal level. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.